Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our next edition of Imagine That. I'm Tim Parker.
I'm Rick Rickhart.
Hey, we're excited to be here with you today. We're going to take some time and talk about Israel. I know that there are lots of questions from everyone about everything from safety, are people traveling, the areas that get to be visited. So we're going to spend some time talking about that. So.
Perfect.
I think first question is, do we have any groups over there right now?
And we do have a group in the Holy Land, so we're excited about that. They're visiting Jordan and Israel, so we do have a group presently in the Holy Land this week and also part of next week. So yeah. I think 12 days total.
Great. So we should be receiving some probably pictures and possibly even some videos from over there that maybe
we will be.
Post.
And if you'll watch our Facebook page, we'll be updating probably every day, every other day, with updates regarding the group that's there and their traveling and so forth.
Great. So we've got that group there. We're looking out through the end of the year. Do we have anybody else that's going to be traveling?
We do have another group that's also scheduled to go, a group of pastors in early December. So we're excited about that as well. And I believe that's a 10 or 11 day trip as well.
Yep.
So that's Israel only. So we're excited about that.
Yeah, I think we
are planning on being on that trip as well.
That's pretty awesome. I'm really looking forward to that.
We are.
So
it's been too long.
It has been. It's been, well, since January of this past year, for me, of this year. And then you were there with
I was
Zach
with you in January, and then
yeah.
I was there in April with Zach and Caleb as well.
Yeah.
So, and we were with a group, and that was terrific. So, it's been a different kind of year. I'll be honest with you. It's been a little over a year since the October 7th events took place, and to say that we're a little surprised that it's lasted this long is probably an understatement. But we're happy to see that progress is being made. I just ask that you would pray for the people of Israel, and it means all of its people, both Palestinian Christians, Muslims, all of them. I think it's vitally important, especially as Christians, we're called to pray, and I think that's something we need to do.
Sure. To say we're in uncharted territory would be an understatement, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
It is definitely uncharted. However, even though it's uncharted, our resources and our relationships and all of those that we know that are in the land, in the Holy Land, whether it's in Israel, Jordan, Egypt, we are receiving constant updates, and we're in communication with them literally on a daily basis, even on Shabbat. So
yeah, no, they it's great. I heard from friends over there over the weekend, just sharing how well they were doing, and it's always good to have conversation with our friends from over there.
It is. We hear from the guides, the drivers, different hotel managers, the offices that we work with, restaurant owners, from the shops and stores and so forth in Jerusalem and Bethlehem, you name it, a little bit of everything, even in the Galilee and the boat rides and so forth, just about everyone.
Great. So we've talked about that. Groups still traveling this year, at least one more that's going to travel in December. How's the first part of the year looking? We
still have quite a few groups that are holding on to January and February and March for the first quarter, I should say. Truth be told, you still can travel to Israel. It's up to your group organizer's decision if they want to go. But just as we opened up with, we presently have a group now in the Holy Land. And we just had another group last month also travel with us without any issues. Everything was normal, everything was fine. And they're also coming back again, or returning, I should say, in April. So that same group from last month has got another group already planned, and they've got about 24 or 26 people traveling in April.
Yeah, so that kind of answers the question that Sarah's asking, was has the war affected the trips whenever they do travel?
I would say yes and no. It definitely, there's an impact. There's still some areas up in the northern areas of the Galilee, and there could be even other isolated areas that you may or may not be able to go to. It's really going to be on a case-by-case scenario based on the safety factor. We always say first and foremost, your safety and security is our main objective. That's really all we care about. And then I'd rather you be upset because we weren't able to do something, but we kept you safe, than to take you into an area that we believe may not be safe. So, but even the last group that went last month, they were able to even go to Jericho. They went to Bethlehem. They were in Jerusalem, East and West Jerusalem. They did Nazareth. They did just about everything with the exception of Tel Dan and Caesarea Philippi. So it really is, I want to say, almost on a day-by-day basis as to whether or not you can go to a specific area. But we've had that happen even during normal times.
Sure.
There's times when everything seems perfectly calm and we may get notice that you can't travel to Shiloh, or there's something where we don't want to take you into Samaria. And then there's other days when you can visit Samaria and Shiloh and do things without any hesitation. We've had, groups be able to go to Hebron. And then we have other times when we tell you we prefer not to take a bus into Hebron. So it really just varies from time to time. Again, we want to make sure that you're safe and secure, and that you have the best experience possible. But again, we leave that up to you.
Yeah. Have we had anyone, so we've had several groups over the last year that have traveled.
We have.
Have we had anybody come back that's said they were uncomfortable or
Not a
scared?
one.
Yeah.
Not a single complaint. Not a single person felt unsafe or in harm's way or anything to that magnitude at all. Again, I think what it really comes down to is the Israel Ministry of Affairs and Tourism and Safety don't want you to come if they feel that it's unsafe. And they will let us know. Their responsibility, as well as United States Department of...
State Department.
Yeah, State Department itself. Truthfully, if it's not safe to go, they won't let you. I will tell you that probably our biggest challenge hasn't been a safety factor. It's been more of an airline factor as to having to deal with when the airlines are operating and when they're not operating. And it's not because they're not operating due to safety. Some of it is actually politically driven. Some of it happens to do with the fact that the war has been going on longer than expected and they don't want to operate flights. Really, it's their crew on the flights that are the ones saying, should we be going if we're operating a flight possibly with, only half the flight full, unless you're LL Airlines and you're sold out.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And they've been operating daily with the exception of Shabbat. And they have not stopped flights really at any time.
Yeah.
So, and there are still flights that are operating, Lufthansa, Swissair, what else? Sabina, Brussels Air, I should say. So there are flights. I even saw that ITA or ITA, which is the old former Alitalia from Rome, is also operating 3 or 4 days a week. So there are flights that are operating. It's just a matter of what you're wanting to do. And then keep in mind that the majority of flights in and out of Amman are operating. So those are fine. Egypt is perfectly unscathed and untouched. Their tourism is doing phenomenal as well. I'm sure they missed the tourism that's coming from Israel, but as a whole, as a destination, Egypt is doing incredible, and even Jordan has really picked up as well. So
Yeah.
you can go to those areas and not feel anything whatsoever.
Sure. You were talking about the State Department changing its level of, I'll just use the level of caution.
Sure.
If you look at the areas that they say do not travel to, you're looking at Iran, you're looking at Lebanon,
Correct.
Iraq, all of those, if you go to the State Department and it says do not travel to those areas.
Correct.
It doesn't say that whenever you look at the Israel
Israel,
area.
no.
So they have not cut off any State
It says
Department.
it says take precautions.
Yes. If you look at it then that way, the State Department at the point whenever the State Department feels uncomfortable for you to travel, they're going to say that you can't anymore anyway.
Correct.
And we are also always getting feedback from Israel.
On a daily basis.
Yeah, on whether it's safe to come. We've not had at any point where I think they've said, hey, don't come. You may not want to visit this area.
Correct.
And that may affect your tour.
Correct.
But as far as do not come at all, we've never received that from our friends over in Israel.
No, you're absolutely correct. And I hate to have to use my phone, but even in today's news, published Israel AM. If I read this properly, it says senior Israeli officials said that negotiations on a ceasefire deal are in advanced stages. If the talks are successful, the IDF will begin withdrawing most of its troops and redeploying to some of the areas of southern Lebanon that are considered tactically significant. The agreement would include the withdrawal of Hezbollah forces north of the Litani River and the deployment of the Lebanese army troops and UNIFIL forces in southern Lebanon and mechanisms to monitor the area and the preventing of Hezbollah from rearming.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's actually just in today's news, just to give you an idea. And that was before we even planned today's live stream.
Yeah, and I think we've actually put that link for that in the comments. If you'd like to go check that out yourself, you can check the comments and click on that, and it'll take you to what Rick was just reading. So
take a moment just to read it so you can see it for yourself. Again, I would say this is probably the first time that we've seen anything in the news that's been really quite promising. So I think we're heading in the right direction. I don't know that it's going to happen overnight, but I do believe that probably between now and the end of this year, things are going to start to be stabilized again and maybe to even turn to some kind of normalcy.
Yeah.
So we're excited about that.
that would be amazing.
Yes, thank you, God.
Yes. So I know one of the questions was that we had seen was when does ITT Imagine say that a tour needs to be rebooked? Do we ever say that? Unless we feel that there's some safety issue, and so far we've not had that with any of the groups that we've had travel.
Correct.
It's really up to the tour host, right? On
Correct.
whether they.
I would say there's been maybe one time we might have encouraged and said, if you're wanting to, just so we can, for better terminology, kind of clean up our books and see who's actually still wanting to travel and who's not wanting to and who's wanting to more or less reschedule. So we've had, quite a few groups that have rescheduled. We actually have not had many groups that have canceled. There's been a few, but not many. Most have either rescheduled or they chose to go to another destination.
Yeah.
And then they're going to plan their trips for 26. So, and we are already booking. I mean, we're still booking trips for the fall of 25 for Israel. But primarily right now, most of the bookings for Israel are 26. Those are new bookings, that is. We have a lot of trips that are booked for 25, well over probably still 150 to 200 groups that are still planning to travel to Israel if things turn around quickly. And again, it's really just a waiting game. That could change significantly, and we may end up with 20 groups or 50 groups for next year. It really just depends on how quickly they move.
Sure. So we were talking about rebooking or rescheduling. You talked about other destinations, the groups that we have going off the first of the year. We have kind of taken for those groups, hey, let's take a wait and see approach as we get closer, because you guys still have some opportunity to hang tight, and some things may change, especially in light of what Rick just read. There's a very real possibility that things are going to change here very soon, and more people may feel more comfortable in traveling. So I think as we look at next year, it doesn't change anything for you all right now to make a decision. So best to wait and see where we're at, and before you make a decision on that. Now, ultimately, if you all decide that you want to either reschedule for a later date, we can certainly go through and do that and start to have those conversations. Or if you want to change your destination to Greece or a river cruise, or England, Scotland. I mean, we've got multiple destinations.
Germany and the Reformation.
Yeah.
We have groups going everywhere.
Yeah.
We really had a wonderful summer. We are beyond thankful and blessed, to say the least. So thank you for all of those that have chosen to continue to travel this year. We really appreciate it. It's been wonderful. And also because of that, we've been able to maintain the majority of our staff and keep things normalized in preparation, because we know that when Israel returns back to what we say normalcy for tourism, it's going to go through the roof, guys. And Israel is going to have an increase in tourism to the likes of which you haven't seen since after COVID. And that was our very best year after 20 years in business, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
Right after COVID, I mean, we were fortunate and blessed. We actually had the very first group that landed in Israel the day that they opened right after COVID. So we believe it's going to be the same way when things normalize for Israel again.
Great.
So
Sarah's asking another question about if the tour host that they are traveling with ends up wanting to cancel, but they still want to travel, can they join another group? that's
absolutely,
traveling?
you can transfer to another Israel trip. You can transfer to another destination. But if you're wanting to go to Israel, we want you to. And that kind of leads me into the next thing is probably, in my personal opinion, and even what I've heard from so many of the people that I've talked to in Israel, if you want to show your best way of supporting Israel, it's traveling. It's your opportunity to continue to go about and travel. It's not just sending a financial, you're actually, blessing them. And by being there and supporting them, it's wonderful to say it. It's another thing to do it. And actions speak even louder than words. And I believe tourism is probably within the top 5 of their gross national product of their revenue stream. And so I would say, tourism means a lot to them. And it impacts on so many different levels. It's not just the airlines and the hotels, it's the restaurants, it's the shops, it's the sightseeing, it's the guides, it's the drivers. It just goes on and on, from the airports to you name it, taxis, everything that's involved, from shops, you name it, all different types of restaurants and so forth.
Yeah.
So everything has a huge impact in that regard.
Okay. Let's take the opposite side of that, because I saw that question as well. Your tour host still wants to go, but you do not feel safe enough and you don't want to travel. What do the refund policies look like?
Sure.
Yeah.
If you choose to cancel, depending on when you cancel, and that has a lot to do with it, we've pretty much minimized as best as we can that the cancellation fees are, if you're canceling just the basic and you're outside of penalty with the airlines and we haven't done any ticketing or anything like that, then it's the $300. But in most cases, most travelers have chosen to either reschedule or to transfer to another trip. And we've even made accommodations for those that even might have chosen to cancel early on and then have asked to be reinstated. Can they do so? And the answer is yes. And will their cancellation fee be reinstated? And the answer is a good portion of it will be. We still have some expenses and things that have incurred, so it's not 100%. But we're doing everything we possibly can to have you travel. And if your group or your church is not traveling, for whatever reason, we can have you transfer to other trips that are traveling to Israel. So we would love to have you travel, to say the least.
Yeah. So there's never ever a time where you have to cancel and lose money. There's always an option.
There's always
for
an
you
option.
to either reschedule for a later date,
Yeah.
change to a different destination. There are multiple things that you can do there. So there's never a, this is it, you're done. That's
We
the way
always
it
have
is.
options.
Yes.
You just have to be willing to accept an option. And one of those is being willing to travel in the future. And we've even extended, for people who say, hey, I've already sent you some money. And as long as we haven't issued any tickets and we're not under any penalty with the airlines, let me just say this, and I'll repeat it again and again and again. 100% of your monies transfer to a future trip, whether it's to Israel or another Imagine tour. You had mentioned whether it's a river cruise or Journeys of Paul or a Reformation tour, any of the tours that we have on our website at ittworld.com. That's probably the best place to look at it. We're constantly updating our website, so please check it out at ittworld.com. But just to give you an idea.
Yeah. Just real quick, looks like Vicki Shearer's on the
Hey,
on
Vicki.
the on the online watching us, and she's traveled with us
Many times.
many
Thank you.
times. So a great friend. She says she's looking forward to traveling to Israel, Jordan, and Egypt after postponing the tour. It was a difficult decision, she says, to reschedule, but the people that she had are looking forward to going. They're excited about going,
Yes.
and they love Israel, and we love that everyone that is our goal is for us to get people over and to experience all of those things. And I know Vicki.
And again, the reason I think I mean to interrupt you is, it's a ministry.
Yeah.
I mean, this is why we're doing this. We want you to experience and see the Bible to come to life. We want it to go from black and white into living color. And we want you to read the scriptures and to actually have an opportunity to see it and to smell it and to taste it and learn the topography and to say to yourself, I walked where Jesus walked, or as we like to joke and say, you may run where Jesus walked, but you'll definitely get your steps in for sure.
Yeah, we're always counting those.
Always
right?
counting steps. We need those.
Because we love to eat over there. So
We do love to eat.
Okay. Just trying to look through, see whether we had any other questions that we had on here. David Donahue, of course, a great friend of ours that's traveled. He's just, I think he's just returned from Greece.
Correct.
He's got a river cruise planned for next year.
Yeah, he's got a great river cruise that's going, and I believe it's doing Amsterdam and some of the areas around there. It's an incredible trip. He already has a great group that's going, and we still have space available. We've actually chartered the entire ship, so we're excited about that and filling it. And so if you want to learn more about our river cruises, again, visit our website at ittworld.com or email us and we'll send you a brochure. That's sales@ittworld.com. But thank you, David, for traveling. And I believe you just returned with a group of pastors that just went on a Journeys of Paul trip.
Yeah.
So we're excited. We had Andrew from our office as well that traveled with it, with his wife Katie, and I know part of the group has continued on to Rome to do the extension. So I think that's where they're at now.
Wow, that's great. Someone's asking if, Sarah, I think, is asking if access to the Temple Mount is still...
Surprisingly, the Temple Mount has not been affected at all. Temple Mount, for the groups that we have had that have traveled this year, you're able to go up to the Temple Mount without any problem whatsoever. I believe there may be certain times that they may not be allowing due to when they're actually having their own meetings and so forth, but for regular visits, it's totally open.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, at their prayer time, it's closed.
Yeah, so again, we certainly understand everybody's feelings if they are uncomfortable.
Of course.
And we want to work with everyone that we can in order to make this as easy as possible. And whether that means rescheduling a tour or just jumping onto a new destination, we're certainly happy to work through all of those things. So if you have a tour set up to Israel, give us a call if you have any questions. We want to talk with you and field those questions for you and make you feel as comfortable as possible. If after that conversation you still want to reset to another destination or push that tour off, then we can certainly begin to work through those things as well.
I don't know if I could say it any better.
Yeah. So Sarah says this has been very helpful. Thank you, Sarah. Great questions. Really, you helped kind of move us right along. So thank you for all the questions that you had for us. So, do you have anything else you'd like to share, Rick?
Nope, we're excited just to see that there's some progress and things are coming along, and I honestly believe that before the end of the year, things will get to the point where there'll be announcements where people will start to feel comfortable traveling again, and that's really what we want, is for you to feel comfortable.
Yeah. So if at any time that you feel like you would like to have a conversation, there are several people here at the office that would love to have that conversation with you. We don't avoid having conversations. In fact,
we
to be
welcome
honest
them.
with you, I mean, to be honest with you, I'd rather have a conversation than shoot you an email. So, and there are multiple people here that feel that same way. So, love to hear voices, and often through phone communication or in-person communication, feelings and hearts are heard and understood. So I would encourage that.
As much as email is wonderful and sometimes you can quickly respond, you really don't get the feel, and it's not personalized. So, and also, just as a reminder, we're on the East Coast, so Eastern Standard Time, so sometimes folks get a little frustrated if they're contacting us after 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time when we've already gone home, or on Fridays. We do check our emails, but we are a 4-day work week, Monday through Thursday, and sometimes we forget to remind everybody. Those who have been traveling with us for a long time know that, but for anybody that's new or is not aware of it, that's a different. But we're constantly checking our email. The info at ittworld.com gets checked daily, even on the weekends.
Yeah, I don't know of a time where we are unavailable.
Yeah.
So it is, but we also love it. So let me see. Do you have any special trips or tips for keeping the people on board for April Journey? Of course, as Rick said, you know, we're already looking at a potential ceasefire that's going to happen, a withdrawing of troops. So as far as April goes, that's still a long ways off.
Correct.
We've still got quite a bit of time there. If everything continues to play out the way that we've seen here already in the article, then I would say as we get into that time frame, you are going to be seeing some normalcy already to have returned to Israel.
Correct.
So,
yeah, I would say just take a wait and see. At this point, you don't need to do anything. If you're even concerned about sending in final payment, you can hold off for a couple of weeks. It's not a big deal. I would say let's just take a wait and see and go from there. We're not going to send you if it's not safe. And usually, and I've said this, I don't know how many different times, when somebody tells you, you know, it's not safe to go, I always ask them, so when was the last time that you were there? And surprisingly, the ones that always tell you not to go are the ones who have never been. And it's interesting because those that have gone are the ones that continue to go back time and time and time again. It's one of the most repeat destinations in the world for so many reasons.
yeah, and I think Roger asked that question, and he was just there with you in April, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
Right.
Yep. So it's good to see you, Roger. And nothing has changed on this end. And like we said, we've got a group right now in the Holy Land, and they're visiting Jordan and Israel. And you know, we believe that everything's going to go fine, and we'll provide updates this week as well.
Yeah.
So you can follow us on Facebook and go from there.
Great. Vicki shared that we are in her prayers, and we certainly covet those prayers, and
Thank you.
thank you for that.
Thank you very much.
So, well, I think if you're good, unless you have something else you want to share, we need to get back to work, right?
Yeah, we've got to get back. If you do have a question, please drop in and chat. We'll be happy to answer. If there's anything that you need, feel free to email us at sales@ittworld.com. If you don't feel comfortable with that and you want to contact info@ittworld.com, that's great. You can visit us on our website at ittworld.com. And as Tim mentioned, you know, we'd love to speak with you. We're happy to communicate whatever's best for you.
Yeah. So again, if you have any questions, you can send those questions into any of those places that Rick just talked about. You can put them in the comments here. People will be kind of, I think Zach's awesome at keeping an eye on this and following up. He's pretty amazing.
He is pretty amazing, but I'm a little biased.
Yes, I understand. So, well, thank you all for tuning in. If we can do anything for you at all, please give us a call or shoot us an email. We'd love to talk with you and work through anything, any details that you would like to work through. So, thanks again for signing in and watching us on Imagine That again. Wow, look at that.
I know. How do you like that?
That's awesome. So, well, take care. God bless, and we look forward to catching up with you again next week.
Sounds great. Give us a call or shoot us an email.
All right.